Hello. Oh, happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday, puppy. You heard me say hello. Apparently, that's just how I start, huh? Oh, I'll get some treats ready for you. I better. Oh, he down here now. There he is. What if I just handed you this bag? How much would you gobble down in an instant, I wonder? I'm pretty sure you'd chew at least some of them. That would slow you down. I'm not gonna do that. It wasn't a promise. It's just a hypothetical. Licking his chops. Crunch, crunch. No pets, only treats. He knows there's more. I suppose there's that. Sharkies are gonna come in and be like, what? Chew? Oh, he didn't chew that one. It's just gone. There was no crunch. Then you gotta chew. Why you no chew? He got too excited. Chew. There you go, like that. Yay, pupper. Hi, Sharkies. Happy Wednesday. Oh. How are you? There's 2 more treats here, Ben, but you're gonna wait for them. But not that long. You're gonna have 1 now. I'll save 1 for later. Can you spin? Can you spin? No? You just grabby grab? Oh, I am tired today and my arm is quite sore because I got my flu shot yesterday. I was fine yesterday. He didn't spin. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's difficult to not be in the way. Yeah, I felt fine yesterday after I got my shot. Also went and had an optometrist appointment. Oh boy. Farmos also purchased some supplies today, though I don't, maybe some costume related. So yeah, optometrist appointment, and then flu shot yesterday. And yesterday I felt fine until I was trying to sleep, which is when my arm started aching and has not really let up. It's not as bad today, but like if I do anything with my left arm, it's pretty sore in that region. And I napped through a bunch of today as a result as well, I think. Hair's all flat in the back. Yeah, yeah. What? Don't do that. This is going to be a lower effort Halloween for us because it's tricky to decorate our house while we're trying to sell it. Speaking of which, we have a house showing on Friday at 6 o'clock. Now, usually the showings don't take an hour, so my plan is still to do my stream at 7, but it's possible I might end up being late, depending on how things go. Um, so, yeah. BBAB. How's it going? Chose to be Mario. Mario's a good choice. It's a me. Sleepy? Yeah, I think that's kind of just the consensus today. Between weather changes and then, like, I got my flu shot yesterday, so that's kind of sapped my energy today. You did buy a rad Halloween costume. Oh boy. Nice. Everybody's talking about Halloween costumes. I don't have anything particular planned because it's sort of a weird one, right? It's on a Monday, and I'll be not at home very much of the weekend. And the house isn't particularly decorated because we're trying to sell it. We've got a viewing on Friday. And then who knows, maybe we'll have another one on the weekend if the people on Friday don't buy it up, which they should. But we did buy some candies to give out. Some years we go pretty all out when we can. Especially if it's on like a weekend or something. That is changing because you got a rad costume. Is it a secret or do you want to tell us what it is? Sore arm. It's best visually. I'd like to see it. Yeah, some years we go big. This is not likely to be one of the big years. But maybe next year when we're living in a new place and we can decorate as we please, maybe we'll go big. Looks like, yeah, next year it's going to be on a Tuesday. Does it always advance by one day? There's got to be things that throw that off, right? Yeah, because 2024 it's on a Thursday, so 2024 jumps 2 days ahead. All right, let's see. That is pretty great, BBAB. Wow. It's gonna be so warm. Uh, that's that is pretty great. Have you put the gloves on yet? How do you give out candy in that? That's fantastic. Those eyes are great too. It's so furry. Oh boy, I hope it's here on time. I mean, the 28th gives you some wiggle room. Ah, that's a shame. Yeah, I suppose if I'm gonna do anything on the stream for Halloween, it'll have to be on Friday. Spooky stories at 11. I will. I'll try and show up if I. I'll get your notification for sure. You know what? I can set a reminder on my phone for that. Oh wait, 11 a.m. What time zone? 11 a.m. What time zone? As the Sharkies ask the same thing. Eastern. Which makes that 8 a.m. our time. Oh boy. I will be awake at that time most likely, but only barely. At least I hope I will be. I slept a lot of today, and I hope that doesn't throw off my sleep schedule. I napped through a lot of the, early afternoon today. I'm normally not a morning person either. For the past month or so, I've been managing to wake up at about 7:45. Um, but I have to be very, very careful with that and very strict about when I go to bed, or else that will drift and I will end up waking up later and later and later until I'm not falling asleep until 5 a.m. and waking up until 1 p.m. So I've got to be very careful. Because, yeah, my body doesn't like being awake in the morning. It wants to be awake at night. But I don't like it working like that because it's too difficult to get anything done at night. Everybody else, maintains a daytime schedule. 9 a.m. to midnight, that's a big raid train. Yeah. So Friday, I should be here for my regular time, but it's possible I'll be a little late depending on how the viewing goes, the house showing. So we've got some people coming to look at the place at 6 p.m. our time, and normally I start at 7 p.m. Pacific, so. So everybody's sleepy, so tonight's not going to be a long stream, I think. But where were we? We are now on page 276 out of 380, so just over 100 pages to go. Not that much. So when last we met, a bunch of the watch went to the Fool's Guild to find out what was really going on. And Carrot passed some bluff checks and got a bunch of information out of Dr. Whiteface as well as Boffo. Got shown the room of, I believe it was confirmed the room belonged to Beano, right? I think so. Beano the Clown, where bricks had been removed, which entered into a room in the Assassin's Guild, because the two buildings share a wall. A bedroom in the Assassin's Guild from a bedroom in the Fool's Guild. The room in the Assassin's Guild did not seem to have been used very much, though there were footprints there. So, Carrot had a hypothesis about what happened. We also got shown the Hall of Faces in the Fool's Guild, which is based off of a real-world thing that clowns do, where in order to register your specific makeup, you paint it on an egg, and then no one else is allowed to use your makeup. Really weird. So, if you want to see something extra creepy, look up a clown egg, like clown, I don't know, what we get, clown makeup on eggs or something like that. It'll come up with pictures. They're creepy. They're a little unsettling. So, Carrot hypothesized that maybe I should go precisely to his little bit of exposition. Here it is. Are you going to regret looking this up? I suppose that depends on how creepy you find clowns. Because it's clown makeup painted onto an egg. That's all it is. But depending on the image, there might be rows of them because they're sort of kept on shelves all next to each other. This is also looking up. It's I find it a little unsettling. Alright, so what Carrot said was, I think what happened was this. Someone in the Assassins wanted a way of getting in and out without being seen. He realized there's only a thin wall between the two guilds. He had a room. All he had to do was find out who lived on the other side. Later, he killed Beano, and he took his wig and his nose. His real nose. That's how clowns think. Makeup wouldn't have been hard. You can get that anywhere. He walked into the guild, made up to look like Beano. He cut through the wall. Then he strolled down to the quad outside the museum, only this time he was dressed as an assassin. He got the gone and came back here. He went through the wall again, dressed up as Beano, and strolled away. And then someone killed him. That last part is interesting, that Carrot thinks that Beano got killed, and then the assassin that killed Beano got killed. I feel like that particular little detail is something we're still missing an explanation for. Unless I'm forgetting a detail. You used to collect clowns. That is, that's interesting. When you were little, how little were you when you used to collect clowns? What age range are we talking about? I remember at one point, when I was quite young, I heard about rock collections, and I suppose I thought that must be pretty cool to have a rock collection. So I took a plastic bag and I scooped up a bag full of gravel from like a playground. And I was like, there, now I have a rock collection. I just kept that plastic bag full of rocks of like gravel for a while. Smithsonian Magazine says the practice of painting the faces on eggs to register it only began in the 1940s. I will admit that's probably more recent than I would have expected, but still older than these books. Yeah, the kind of weird thing you would have assumed was from the Middle Ages. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. When you were a year old, you got a music box with a clown on it. Apparently you're entranced by it. I watched it for a very long time. That's quite young. So, where we left off, Angua said she was going to see. I think she was going to try and find out whose room in the Assassin's Guild it was. And she headed off to an alley to do her whole wolfy thing, which she did not say specifically to Carrot. As far as we are aware, no one is really aware, other than Gaspode, of Angua's werewolf nature. I played Send in the Clowns. They're already here. So, that's where we are at. I had forgotten how little of Vimes there is in this book. There are large spaces of this book with no Vimes at all. He has spent quite a lot of this book battling depression, I guess. At least of those who answered the poll. I'm gonna get going. I'm gonna start reading this. Page 276. Sergeant Colin saluted when Carrot came back, frowning in thought. It's interesting at this point that everyone in the watch is just deferring to Carrot, even though I'm fairly certain I'm not great with military ranks, but I'm pretty sure Sergeant Colin still outranks Carrot. Right? I think so. I mean, technically at this point they've all agreed that they're doing the militia thing, but I don't think that has too much to do with this. Sergeant Colin saluted when Carrot came back, frowning in thought. "We can go home now, sir," he suggested. "What? Why?" "Now it's all sorted out." "I just said that to waylay suspicion," said Carrot. That whole scene. It's all sorted out. "Ah, very clever," said the sergeant quickly. "That's what I thought. He's saying that to waylay suspicion, I thought." "There's still a murderer out there somewhere. Or something worse." Carrot ran his gaze over the ill-assorted soldiery. "But right now, I think we're going to have to sort out this business with the day watch," he said. People say it's practically a riot up there," said Colin. "That's why we've got to sort it out." Colin bit his lip. He was not, as such, a coward. Last year, the city had been invaded by a dragon, and he'd actually stood on a rooftop and fired arrows at it while it was bearing down on him with its mouth open, although admittedly he'd had to change his underwear afterwards. But that had been simple. The great big fire-breathing dragon was straightforward. There it was, right in front of you, about to broil you alive. That was all you had to worry about. Admittedly, it was a lot to worry about, but it was simple. It wasn't any kind of mystery. "We're going to have to sort it out," he said. "Yes." "Oh, good. I like sorting things out." Foul Ol Ron was a Beggars Guild member in good standing. I think this is the first time on this channel we will be encountering Foul Ol Ron, though I'm certain he's been in other books that came prior to this one. Just not ones we've read. Other series. Foul Ol Ron was a Beggars Guild member in good standing. He was a mutterer, and a good one. He would walk behind people muttering in his own private language until they gave him money not to. People thought he was mad, but this was not, technically, the case. It was just that he was in touch with reality on the cosmic level, and had a bit of trouble focusing on things smaller, like other people, walls, and soap, although on very small things, such as coins, his eyesight was grade A. Therefore, he was not surprised when a handsome young woman streaked past him and removed all her clothes. This sort of thing happened all the time, although, up until now, only on the inner side of his head. Then he saw what happened next. He watched as the sleek golden shape streaked away. "I told him! I told him! I told him!" he said. "I'll give him the wrong end of a ragman's trumpet, so I shall. Bugger him! Millennium Hand and Shrimp! I told him!" Gaspode wagged what was technically a tail when Angua re-emerged. "Change into something more suitable," he said, his voice slightly muffled by the bone. "Good one. I brung you this little token." He dropped it on the cobbles. It didn't look any better to Angua's lupine eyes. "What for?" she said. "Stuffed with nourishing marrow-bone jelly, that bone," he said accusingly. "Forget it," said Angua. "Now, how do you normally get into the Assassin's Guild?" "Maybe afterwards we could kind of hang out in the middens along Fedre Road," he said. Gaspode, his stump of a tail still thumping the ground. "There's rats along there that'll make your hair stand on. No, all right, forget I mentioned it," he finished quickly, when fire flashed for a moment in Angua's eyes. He sighed. "There's a drain by the kitchens," he said. "Big enough for a human?" "Not even for a dwarf. But it won't be worth it. It's spaghetti tonight. You don't get many bones in spaghetti." "Come along." He limped along. "That was a good bone," he said. "Hardly even started going green. Ha! I bet you wouldn't say no to a box of chocolates from Mr. Hunk, though." He cringed as she rounded on him. "What are you talking about?" "Nothing. Nothing." He trailed after her, whining. That's right, you don't get many bones in spaghetti. Angua wasn't happy either. It was always a problem. growing hair and fangs every full moon. Just when she thought she'd been lucky before, she'd found that few men are happy in a relationship where their partner grows hair and howls. She'd sworn, no more entanglements like that. As for Gaspode, he was resigning himself to a life without love, or at least any more than the practical affection experienced so far, which had consisted of an unsuspecting chihuahua and a brief liaison with a postman's leg. The number 1 powder slid down the folded paper into the metal tube. Blast Vimes! Who'd have thought he'd actually head for the opera house? He'd lost a set of tubes up there. But there were still 3 left, packed neatly in the hollow stock. A bag of number 1 powder and a rudimentary knowledge of lead casting was all a man needed to rule the city. The gun lay on the table. There was a bluish sheen to the metal. Or, perhaps, not so much a sheen as a glisten. And of course, that was only the oil. You had to believe it was only the oil. It was clearly a thing of metal. It couldn't possibly be alive. And yet... They say it was only a beggar girl in the guild. Well, what of it? This last part is in italics, not in quotation marks. She was a target of opportunity. That was not my fault. That was your fault. I am merely the gon. Gons don't kill people. People kill people. Wow. He did it. He went there. You killed Hammerhawk. The boy said you fired yourself, and he'd repaired you. You expect gratitude? He would have made another gun. Was that a reason to kill him? Certainly. You have no understanding. Was the voice in his head or in the gun? He couldn't be certain. Edward had said there was a voice. It said that everything you wanted, it could give you. Edward had said there was a voice. To be clear, the voice I'm using for whoever this probably not Edward is not based on anything in particular or on a specific character. I picked a voice there. So it might be the wrong voice. Getting into the guild was easy for Angua, even through the angry crowds. Some of the assassins, the ones from noble homes that had big floppy dogs around the place in the same way that lesser folk have rugs, had brought a few with them. Besides, Angua was pure pedigree. She drew admiring glances as she trotted through the buildings. Finding the right corridor was easy, too. She'd remembered the view from the guild next door and counted the number of floors. In any case, she didn't have to look hard. The reek of fireworks hung in the air all along the corridor. There was a crowd of assassins in the corridor, too. The door of the room had been forced open. As Angua peered around the corner, she saw Dr. Cruces emerge, his face suffused with rage. Mr. Downey! A white-haired assassin drew himself to attention. Sir? I want him found. Yes, Doctor. In fact, I want him inhumed, with extreme impoliteness. And I'm setting the fee at $10,000. I shall pay it personally, you understand? Without guild tax either." Several assassins nonchalantly strolled away from the crowd. 10,000 untaxed dollars was good money. Downey looked uncomfortable. "Doctor, I think." "Think? You're not paid to think? Heaven knows where the idiot has got to. I ordered the guild searched. Why didn't anyone force the door?" "Sorry, Doctor. Edward left us weeks ago, and I didn't think." "You didn't think? What are you paid for?" "Never seen him in such a temper," said Gaspode. There was a cough behind the chief assassin. Dr. Whiteface had emerged from the room. "Ah, Doctor," said Dr. Cruces. "I think perhaps we'd better go and discuss this further in my study, yes?" "I really am most terribly sorry, my lord." "Don't mention it. The little devil has made us both look like fools. Oh, nothing personal, of course. Mr. Downey, the fools and the assassins will be guarding this hole until we can get some masons in tomorrow. No one is to go through, you understand?" "Yes, Doctor." "Very well." "That's Mr. Downey," said Gaspode, as Dr. Cruces and the chief clown disappeared down the corridor. "Number 2 in the assassins." He scratched his ear. "He'd knock off old Cruces for tuppence if it wasn't against the rules." Angua trotted forward. Downey, who was wiping his forehead with a black handkerchief, looked down. "Hello, you're new," he said. He glanced at Gaspode. "And the mutt's back, I see." "Woof, woof," said Gaspode, his stump of a tail thumping the floor. "Incidentally," he added for Angua's benefit, "he's often good for a peppermint if you catch him in the right mood. He's poisoned 15 people this year. He's almost as good with poisons as old Cruces." "Do I need to know that?" said Angua. Downey patted her on the head. "Oh, assassins shouldn't kill unless they're being paid. It's these little tips that make all the difference." Now Angua was in a position to see the door. There was a name written on a piece of card stuck in a metal bracket. Edward Death. "Edward Death," she said. "There's a name that tolls a bell," said Gaspode. "Family used to live up Kingsway. Used to be as rich as creosote." "Who was creosote?" "Some foreign bugger who was rich." "Oh." "But great-granddad had a terrible thirst, and granddad chased anything in a dress. His dress, you understand. And old Death, well, he was sober and clean, but lost the rest of the family money on account of having a blind spot when it came to telling the difference between a 1 and an 11. "I can't see how that loses you money." "It does if you think you can play Cripple Mr. Onion with the big boys." Gaspode is well informed. The werewolf and the dog padded back down the corridor. "Do you know anything about Master Edward?" said Angua. "Nope. The house was flogged off recently. Family debts. Haven't seen him around." "You're certainly a mine of information," she said. "He gets around. No one notices dogs." Gaspode wrinkled his nose. It looked like a withered truffle. "Blimey. Stinks of gone, doesn't it?" "Yes. Something odd about that," said Angua. "What?" "Something not right." There were other smells. Unwashed socks, other dogs, Dr. Whiteface's grease paint, yesterday's dinner. The scents filled the air. but the fireworks smell of what Angua was now automatically thinking of as the gone wound around everything else. Acrid as acid.
What's not right?
Don't know. Maybe it's the gone smell.
Nah, that started off here. The gone was kept here for years.
Right. Okay. Well, we've got a name. It might mean something to Carrot. Angua trotted down the stairs.
Excuse me,
said Gaspode. Yes?
How can you turn back into a woman again?
I just get out of the moonlight and concentrate. That's how it works.
Cor, that's all?
If it's technically full moon, I can change even during the day if I want to. I only have to change when I'm in the moonlight.
Get away. What about Wolfbane?
Wolfbane? It's a plant. A type of aconite? Aconite? I'm not sure. Aconite. I'm guessing aconite. Type of aconite, I think. What about it?
Don't it kill you?
Look, you don't have to believe everything you hear about werewolves. We're human just like everyone else. Most of the time, she added. By now they were outside the guild and heading for the alley, which indeed they reached, but it lacked certain important features that it had included when they were last there. Most notable of these was Angua's uniform, but there was also a world shortage of foul ol' Ron. Damn! They looked at the empty patch of mud.
Got any other clothes?
Said Gaspode. Yes, but only back in Elm Street. This is my only uniform.
You have to put some clothes on when you're human?
Yes.
Why? I would have thought a nude woman would be at home in any company. No offense meant.
I prefer clothes. Gaspode sniffed at the dirt.
Come on, then, he sighed. We better catch up. Foul ol' Ron before your chainmail becomes a bottle of bear huggers, yes?
Angua looked around. The scent of foul ol' Ron was practically tangible. All right, but let's be quick about it. Wolfbane. You didn't need daft old herbs to make your life a problem. If you spent 1 week every month with 2 extra legs and 4 extra nipples. There were crowds around the patrician's palace, and outside the Assassin's Guild. A lot of beggars were in evidence. They looked ugly. Looking ugly is a beggar's stock in trade in any case. These looked uglier than necessary. The militia peered around a corner.
There's hundreds of people,
said Colin.
And loads of trolls outside the day watch.
Where's the crowd thickest? Said Carrot.
Anywhere the trolls are,
said Colin. He remembered himself.
Only joking,
he added. Very well, said Carrot. Everyone follow me. The babble stopped as the militia marched, lumbered, trotted, and knuckled towards the Daywatch house. A couple of very large trolls blocked the way. The crowd watched in expectant silence. Any minute now, Colin thought, someone's going to throw something, and then we're all going to die. He glanced up. Slowly and jerkily, gargoyle heads were appearing along the gutters. No one wanted to miss a good fight. Carrot nodded at the 2 trolls. They'd got lichen all over them, Colin noticed. It's Blue John and Bauxite, isn't it? Said Carrot. Blue John, despite himself, nodded. Bauxite was tougher, and merely glared. "You're just the sort I was looking for," Carrot went on. Colin gripped his helmet like a size number 10 limpet trying to crawl up into a size number 1 shell. Bauxite was an avalanche with feet. "You're conscripted," said Carrot. Colin peeked out from under the brim. "Report to Corporal Nobbs for your weapons. Lance Constable Detritus will administer the oath." He stood back. "Welcome to the Citizens' Watch. Remember, every Lance Constable has a Field Marshal's baton in his knapsack." The trolls hadn't moved.
"Ain't gonna be in a watch,"
said Bauxite. "Officer material if ever I saw it," said Carrot.
"Hey, you can't put them in the watch,"
shouted a dwarf from the crowd. "Why, hello, Mr. Strong in the Arm," said Carrot. "Good to see community leaders here. Why can't they be in the militia?" All the trolls listened intently. Strong in the Arm realized that he was suddenly the center of attention, and hesitated.
"Well, you've only got one dwarf, for one thing," he began.
"I'm a dwarf," said Carrot. "Technically." Strong in the Arm looked a little nervous. The whole issue of Carrot's keenly embraced dwarfishness was a difficult one for the more politically minded dwarfs.
"You're a bit big,"
he said lamely. "Big? What's size got to do with being a dwarf?" Carrot demanded.
A lot,"
whispered Cuddy. "Good point," said Carrot. "That's a good point." He scanned the faces. "Right. We need some honest, law-abiding dwarfs. You there."
"Me?"
said an unwary dwarf. "Have you got any previous convictions?"
"Well, I dunno. I suppose I used to believe very firmly that a penny saved is a penny earned."
"Good. And I'll take you two and you. 4 more dwarfs, yes? Can't complain about that, eh?"
"Ain't gonna be in a watch,"
said Bauxite again, but uncertainty modulated his tone.
"You trolls can't leave now," said
Detritus.
"Otherwise, too many dwarfs. That's numbers, that is." "I'm not joining any watch,"
said a dwarf. Not man enough, eh?" said Cuddy.
"What? I'm as good as any bloody troll any day."
"Right. That's sorted out then," said Carrot, rubbing his hands together. "Acting Constable Cuddy."
"Sir?" "Hey,"
said Detritus.
"how come he suddenly full constable?"
"Since he was in charge of the dwarf recruits," said Carrot. "And you're in charge of the troll recruits, Acting Constable Detritus."
"I full acting constable, in charge of the troll recruits."
"Of course. Now, if you would step out of the way, Lance Constable Bauxite." Behind Carrot, Detritus drew a big, proud breath.
"Ain't gonna. Lance Constable Bauxite, you horrible big troll. You standing up straight. You saluting right now. You stepping out of the way of Corporal Carrot. You two troll, you come here. 1, 2, 3, 4. You in the watch now. Arg! I cannot believe it what my eye it seeing. Where you from, Bauxite?" "Slice Mountain, but Slice Mountain. Slice Mountain. Only
Detritus looked at his fingers for a moment, and rammed them behind his back.
Only two things come from Slice Mountain. Rocks and
He struck out wildly.
other sorts of rocks. What kind you, bauxite?
What the hell's going on here? The watch house door had opened. Captain Quirk emerged, sword in hand.
You two horrible troll! You raise your hand right now, you repeat troll oath.
Ah, Captain, said Carrot. Can we have a word?
You're in real trouble, Corporal Carrot, snarled Quirk. Who do you think you are? I will do what I told. Don't wanna be in a...
Wham!
I will do what I told.
Just the man on the spot, Captain, said Carrot cheerfully.
Well, man on the spot, I'm the senior officer here, and you can damn well...
Interesting point, said Carrot. He produced his black book. I'm relieving you of your command.
Otherwise I get my gohulog head kicked in. Otherwise I get my gohulog head kicked in.
What? Are you mad? No, sir, but I'm choosing to believe that you are. There are regulations laid down for this eventuality.
Where is your authority?
Quirk stared at the crowd.
Ha! I suppose you'll say this armed mob is your authority, eh?
Carrot looked shocked. No! The laws and ordinances of Ankh-Morpork, sir. It's all down here. Can you tell me what evidence you have against the prisoner Coalface?
That damn troll! It's a troll!
Yes? Quirk looked around.
Look, I don't have to tell you with everyone here.
As a matter of fact, according to the rules, you do. That's why it's called evidence. It means that which is seen.
Listen,
hissed Quirk, leaning towards Carrot.
He's a troll. He's as guilty as hell of something. They all are.
Carrot smiled brightly. Colin had come to know that smile. Carrot's face seemed to go waxy and glisten when he smiled like that. And so you locked him up?
Right.
Oh, I see. I understand now. Carrot turned away.
I don't know what you think you're...
Quirk began. People hardly saw Carrot move. There was just a blur, a sound like a stake being thumped on a slab, and the captain was flat on the cobbles. A couple of members of the day watch appeared cautiously in the doorway. Everyone became aware of a rattling noise. Nobby was spinning the Morning Star round and round on the end of its chain. Except that because the spiky ball was a very heavy spiky ball, and because the difference between Nobby and a dwarf was species rather than height, it was more of a case of both of them orbiting around each other. If he let go, it was an even chance that the target would be hit by a spiky ball or an unexploded Corporal Nobbs. Neither prospect pleased.
Put it down, Nobby,
hissed Colin.
I don't think they're going to make trouble. I can't let go, Fred!
Carrot sucked his knuckles. Do you think that comes under the heading of minimum necessary force, Sergeant? He asked. He appeared to be genuinely worried.
Fred! Fred! What'll I do?
Nobby was a terrified blur. When you are swinging a spiky ball on a chain, the only realistic option is to keep moving. Standing still is an interesting but brief demonstration of a spiral in action. Wow.
Is he still breathing?
Said Colin. Oh, yes. I pulled the punch.
Sounds minimum enough to me, sir,
said Colin loyally.
Fred!
Carrot reached out absent-mindedly as the Morning Star rocketed past and caught it by the chain. Then he threw it against the wall, where it stuck. You men in there in the watch-house, he said. Come out now. 5 men emerged, edging cautiously around the prone captain. Good. Now go and get Coalface.
He's in a bit of a bad temper, Corporal Carrot. On account of being chained to the floor,
volunteered another guard. Well now, said Carrot, the thing is, he's going to be unchained right now. The men shuffled their feet nervously, possibly remembering an old proverb that fitted the occasion very well. Footnote. It runs, he who chains down a troll, especially taking advantage of the situation to put the boot in a few times, had better not be the one who unchains it again. End of footnote. Carrot nodded. I won't ask you to do it, but I might suggest you take some time off, he said.
Corm is very nice at this time of year,
said Sergeant Colin helpfully.
They've got a floral clock. Since you mention it, I've got some sick leave coming up, one of them said. I should think that's very probable if you hang around, said Carrot. They sidled off as fast as decency allowed. The crowd hardly paid them any attention. There was still a lot more mileage in watching Carrot. Right, said Carrot. Detritus, you take some men and you go and bring out the prisoner. I don't see why,
a dwarf began.
You shut up, you horrible man,
said Detritus, drunk with power. You could have heard a guillotine drop. In the crowd, a number of different-sized, knobbly hands gripped a variety of concealed weapons. Everyone looked at Carrot. That was the strange thing, Colin remembered later. Everyone looked at Carrot. Gaspode sniffed a lamp post.
I see 3-legged Ship has been ill again,
he said.
And old Willie the Pup is back in town.
To a dog, a well-placed hitching post or lamp is a social calendar. We usually, when Benedict goes and is sniffing around where other dogs have visited, we usually refer to it as him checking the message boards. But one of our neighbors, while walking his dog recently, referred to it as checking the P-mail. I had not heard that one before. Yep. Where are we? Said Angua. Foul old Ron's trail was hard to follow. There were so many other smells.
Somewhere in the shades,
said Gaspode.
Sweetheart Lane smells like.
He snuffled across the ground.
Here he is again, the little... Hello, Gaspode.
It was a deep, hoarse voice, a kind of whisper with sand in it. It came from somewhere in an alley.
Who's your friend, Gaspode?
There was a snigger.
Ah,
Said Gaspode.
Hi, guys.
2 dogs emerged from the alley. They were huge. Their species was indeterminate. One of them was jet black and looked like a pit bull terrier crossed with a mincing machine. The other looked like a dog whose name was almost certainly Butch. Both top and bottom set of fangs had grown so large that he appeared to be looking at the world through bars. He was also bow-legged, although it would probably be a bad, if not terminal move for anyone to comment on this. Gaspode's tail vibrated nervously.
These are my friends, Black Roger and...
Butch? Suggested Angua.
How did you know that?
A lucky guess, said Angua. Actually named Butch. The 2 big dogs had moved around so that they were on either side of them.
Well,
Said Black Roger.
who's this, then? Angua,
Said Gaspode.
she's a...
Wolfhound, said Angua. The 2 dogs paced around them hungrily.
Big Fido know about her?
Said Black Roger.
I was just...
Gaspode began.
Well, now.
I feel like I did it deeper before.
Well, now.
Said Black Roger.
I reckon you'd be wanting to come with us. Guild night tonight. Sure,
Said Gaspode.
no problem there.
I could certainly manage either of them, Angua thought, but not both at once. Being a werewolf meant having the dexterity and jaw power to instantly rip out a man's jugular. It was a trick of her father's that had always annoyed her mother, especially when he did it just before meals. But Angua had never been able to bring herself to do it. She'd preferred the vegetarian option.
Hello.
Said Butch in her ear.
Don't you worry about anything,
Moaned Gaspode.
Me and Big Fido. We're like that.
What are you trying to do? Cross your claws? I didn't know dogs could do that,
We can't.
said Gaspode miserably. Other dogs slunk out of the shadows as the 2 of them were half led, half driven along byways that weren't even alleys anymore, just gaps between walls. They opened out eventually into a bare area, nothing more than a large light well for the buildings around it. There was a very large barrel on its side in one corner, with a ragged bit of blanket in it. A variety of dogs were waiting around in front of it, looking expectant. Some of them had only one eye, some of them had only one ear. All of them had scars, and all of them had teeth.
You,
Said Black Roger.
wait here. Do not try to run away,
Said Butch.
'cause having your intestines chewed often offends.
Angua lowered her head to Gaspode level. The little dog was shaking. What have you got me into? She growled. This is the dog guild, right? A pack of strays?
Shh! Don't say that. These aren't strays. Oh, blimey.
Gaspode glanced around.
You don't just get any hound in the guild. Oh, dear me, no. These are dogs that have been...
He lowered his voice.
Bad dogs.
Bad dogs?
Bad dogs. You naughty boy. Give him a smack. You bad dog.
muttered Gaspode, like some horrible litany.
Every dog you see here, right? Every dog. Run away. Run away from his or her actual owner.
Is that all?
All? All? Well, of course. You ain't exactly a dog. You wouldn't understand. You wouldn't know what it was like. But Big Fido, he told 'em, throw off your choke chains, he said. Bite the hand that feeds you. Rise up and howl. He gave 'em pride,
said Gaspode, his voice a mixture of fear and fascination.
He told 'em, any dog he finds not being a free spirit, that dog is a dead dog. He killed a Doberman just last week, just for wagging his tail when a human went past.
Angua looked at some of the other dogs. They were all unkempt. They were also, in a strange way, un-dog-like. There was a small and rather dainty white poodle that still just about had the overgrown remains of its poodle cut, and a lapdog with the tattered remains of a tartan jacket still hanging from its shoulder. But they weren't milling around or squabbling. They had a uniform intent look that she'd seen before, although never on dogs. Gaspode was clearly trembling now. Angua slunk over to the poodle. It still had a diamante, I don't know, Diamante, collar visible under the crusty fur. This Big Fido, she said, is he some kind of wolf or what?
Spiritually, all dogs are wolves, said the poodle, but cynically and cruelly severed from their true destiny by the manipulations of so-called humanity.
It sounded like a quote. Big Fido said that? Angua hazarded. The poodle turned its head. For the first time she saw its eyes. They were red and mad as hell. Anything with eyes like that could kill anything it wanted, because madness, true madness, can drive a fist through a plank.
Yes,
said Big Fido. I think that's probably a good place to stop. Diamante. Oof, yeah, I'm sleepy. Hopefully that means I will be able to sleep normally tonight. But I'll probably take a melatonin just in case. Just to help. It worked. I had one treat sitting here. Make sure you chew. You didn't chew! Why are you just swallowing, Bin? That's so dangerous. Chew your treats. That's twice tonight that he's just taken it and been like, gulp. Bin, they're crunchy. You're supposed to crunch them. Wag, wag, wag. I don't think he's done this before. I don't know why suddenly he's decided he doesn't need to chew. Not a wolfhound, but not a member of the dog guild. He is a very good boy. That's true. He is a very good boy. Oh, I'm sleepy. That's a good one. Alright, well, I hope everyone gets a good night's rest tonight. Thank you all for joining me. I should be back here on Friday at the usual time. It's possible I'll be a little bit late. And if for whatever reason I can't make it, I will try to let everyone know. And we'll see how things go then. I feel like the book's getting quite interesting in this last quarter. I hope everyone else feels the same way. I feel like events are accelerating. Okay, well, hopefully everyone is enjoying it. And yeah, I think we'll be finishing pretty soon. We don't have much left to go. So I'll have to start thinking about what comes next. We're on now page 294 out of 380. Ugh, arm is still achy. Only when I do things. If I'm just sitting like this, it doesn't hurt, but it does when I lean on it or anything. Move around too much. Alright, have a good rest of the week, everyone. Try to stay out of the rain unless you don't want to for whatever reason. It sounds like it's still coming down out there. There was a little bit of a break today, but it's raining now. I'll see you on Friday. Wish us luck with the house viewing. Have a good night, everyone, and have a good rest of the week. Bye.